Hi, everybody. It's Joe with PrepAgent, and I'm here with my friend Jaime Resendiz. Jaime, I pronounced that correct, right?
Nailed it, Joe. Thanks so much.
So we have a good topic for everybody today that Jaime and I are going to discuss, debate, educate, whatever you want to call it, about marketing yourself as a real estate agent through YouTube. Okay. As you can see right off the bat, he's a great person to discuss about this because you could see his setup looks super professional, it looks super good. And he's actually giving me some advice on my setup. And what I love about this, we have two different setups. You have a little more of a darker background. Mine's much lighter. So there's a lot to discuss why I went with a much lighter background. You could discuss why you went with a darker background. But there's many different things. So anything you want to say? And by the way, if you guys want to see links more about Jaime, just go in the show notes below. We'll provide links that'll be helpful so you can see his YouTube channel and different things he's doing. But with that being said, I'll give you the floor. So what do you got for me?
Well, no, I appreciate the invite, Joe. This is quite an honor. I've always seen your videos, and congratulations on your YouTube success. I think you're over 200,000 subscribers. That's incredible. I know back there you're kind of hiding it with your hat, but
Oh, the
you
plaque.
got the plaque of 100,000 subscribers. So kudos. It's clear that you know what you're doing on YouTube for sure.
Thank
Now,
you.
when it comes to YouTube, though, for real estate agents, this is something that I've been beating this drum for about 3 to 4 years now on why agents should be on YouTube. Many different reasons, but just to kind of summarize, we're looking at YouTube is a free platform. You don't have to pay for the exposure. You can upload a video today, upload one tomorrow, and the day after that. YouTube's not going to charge you. So that's fantastic. To the audience is here. There's over 2 billion monthly users on YouTube. To put that into context, that's twice the size of Instagram. So the audience is there as well. So you have your home buyers, your home sellers, anybody that you want to reach in any capacity, whether you're working with buyers or sellers, is on YouTube. So you being on YouTube is a great way for you to reach your end user, your end client, if you will, but also provide that information, that value to your future clients. This is the same thing that you've done in your channel and the same thing that I've done on my channel, where we are providing value. In your case, you're providing value to folks that want to pass the real estate exam. From my side, it's been more helping real estate agents after they take your prep and go on to pass the real estate exam. It's kind of like where I take over and help from the marketing side. So it's all this information that you're freely able to share with individuals, and you're not being charged for it. And it lives on your YouTube channel, works for you 24/7, works for you whenever one of your students or one of my students gets off of their full-time work to get into prep mode or to get into real estate agent mode at 8 p.m., 12 in the morning, 3 in the morning, whenever they're watching. So you don't have to be there, educating real time. So there's so many benefits to YouTube.
And I like that you discuss some things that are pretty general, but also things that are specific to YouTube. I'm going to stick today to the things that are more specific to why YouTube, because we could get into a lot about just general video making and the benefits of social media. But I want to talk to you a lot. I want to do a lot of these discussions moving forward. So we're going to cover everything. But today, let's just go over the specific benefits of YouTube. One is you mentioned the size, how big it is and how big the audience is. Which also probably, correct me if I'm wrong, helps you a lot with the search engine algorithm. Like a successful YouTube video will probably do a lot more for you than other places. And people will probably say, well, I'm competing with every other YouTube video in the world. Not really, because if you include something about your town, the name of the town, description with your town, things that are specific that you're trying to do, you're only competing with people who have YouTube videos in your town. Am I right in that or am I wrong? Tell me if I'm off.
No, that's a way to make the universal platform, the platform that is YouTube, which is viewed everywhere, but you make it more local to you. So you can provide information that is general on the home buying process, the home selling process. Well, for all intents and purposes, it's going to look a little bit different in Florida versus California versus New York, but really not that much. You still need to prepare your home. You still need to, have it show ready and all that fun stuff. But when you make videos, as you're suggesting, geographically based, well, who's going to watch the video on the top reasons to move to Dallas? with someone that might consider moving to Dallas. So that's where you take the whole platform, YouTube being everywhere, international platform, and really drill down to a potential client for you. So you attaching the geography to it. Wow, that was a tough word. Geography to it. You're making it more local to you. So you stand out and have the opportunity of those people that are relocating from California, from Texas, from Florida, from New York to your neck of the woods. So that's how you're able to speak to them directly, because they themselves self-identified as people that want to go to that location simply by them watching that video. So they're the ones that saw enough of a need to go to your specific YouTube channel, to your specific video, and watch you. So it's your responsibility to create that content so as to give people that opportunity to watch you. At the end of the day, going back to the geography part, that's how you make it a little bit more local, and that's how you get people reaching out to you every single day.
I guess one of the ways you would do that is in the title, you say the word Dallas, in the description, you say Dallas, and in the tags, you say the word Dallas, correct?
Correct.
I'm assuming you could get more advanced with your YouTube settings to target location and geography, but that's a simple thing that everybody should just remember. Just always include the name of the town in all 3 spots, or is it not necessary in all 3 spots?
Well, it depends the content of the video, right? If you're speaking in more general terms, then it's not going to necessarily matter if it's Dallas, if it's Fort Worth, if it's Las Vegas. Now, as a little rule of thumb, if you will, providing analogies or stories on YouTube plays incredibly well. So as you're talking about, this is how you buy a property, then you equating it back to where you work as a reminder of those people that are watching your content. Oh, that's right, he's a real estate agent in Dallas. Oh, that's right, he's a real estate agent in Miami. So you embedding those words in your dialogue is not a bad play at all. It'll continue.
But that's not going to help with the search algorithm, will it?
It will, to a certain extent, given the fact that YouTube transcribes everything.
Ah, that's a great point. Because in my head, I was thinking, well, that's nice for content, but that's not really going to help much with the search algorithm. You're saying it does. Obviously, you can't just go on and say, hi, Dallas, 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 Texas, Texas, Dallas Corridor, Dallas Cowboys, Dallas, 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 Dallas. You can't just do that. But no. You're saying whether you realize it or not, your video is being transcribed.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is probably an argument. That's a great point. Which is also an argument why you probably need to enunciate all your words really well, especially when you're talking about those key words, which you should be doing anyway, correct?
100%. So you need to know what type of video you're going to make from the outset, because if there's no traffic, meaning there's no demand there, nobody's searching for this type of information, nobody cares about that type of information, then as a real estate agent, you have a million other things that you need to worry about outside of that one video. You shouldn't be making that video that only one person would find benefit, and that would be you, right? So if you're making content that nobody is asking for, no one cares about, that's a long road on YouTube, because you're going to find yourself making video after video after video after video, only for 4 people to watch it. And it's not going to bring you clients. Now, if you match what people are actually searching for, information that they would care to know, and you provide that information, now you're working with something that's going to work, as opposed to making a video that nobody is searching for or nobody cares about.
So we're talking to people who are brand new with this. So I'm going to say the way I would think they would go about it, and you could kind of add to it, disagree, or whatever you want, is I would think they should try and make a real clean looking video, get their background set up, do the best they can, and the comments and the likes will dictate if it's doing well or not. Then over time, you'll see what's catching, what's appealing more, what the audience wants more. That's a lot how PrepAgent evolved. I never thought in a million years people would want to hear me talk and teach a real estate exam class. I was just like, I'll just put it up there. The story with that originally was I just had a site that wasn't that advanced and it couldn't hold a 30-minute webinar on the site. So I just put it on YouTube. And then it just blew up and the audience spoke. They said, that's what we want to hear. I was like, all right, I'll just keep putting these up. So that's the most simple way to do it, I guess, is you just keep doing the best you can and you just see what takes. I will say with that though, whatever you put out there, try and make it clean, have a decent audio and video, which we'll talk about another time. You know, this kind of like half-hearting, half-ass, I'll just say that word, you know, where people just put the camera in front of their face, blah, blah, throw it up there, because you got to give the video a fair shot. I guess if you're going to use this method of just trial and error, you got to give it a fair shot. It just drives me nuts when people have bad lighting. They look like they're in prison. They're holding the camera to themselves. You know, it just doesn't, it just doesn't go as well.
Sure. You know, that's a double-edged sword. And the reason being, we're the people that are super, let's just say, the perfectionists or self-proclaimed perfectionists, they're going to use that as an excuse to never start, right? So the precursor to everything is you actually doing it. You may not have the best lighting, but at least trying, putting out that effort. To your point, putting out that effort is a must, right? If you come on here, it's like, oh, well, let's talk about home buying, and that the effort just isn't there. If you give it a legitimate shot, as you're mentioning, the lighting, you know, you may not have the best lighting, but people can put the intention behind that video and are going to sniff it out if you're authentic or not. So,
and I guess, yeah, I'm not saying it needs to be a perfectionist, but let's use some common sense. You know,
100%.
I mean,
I love that.
Like I get what you're saying. Like, you can't be a perfectionist, but you know, at least, and even if your lighting stinks, you talked about learning which videos are successful. You'll also start to see, oh, my lighting's horrible with this. Oh, I gotta do this. And each one, it gets a little bit better. If people look at my videos from way back when, we actually did a video, I don't know, was it a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago?
That's 2 years ago. Yeah.
If you see my setup in that one versus what it is now, and you guys could just Google, and look in the YouTube search, Joe Juder and Jaime Resendiz. I just pronounced your name, Resendiz, Jaime Resendiz and Joe Juder PrepAgent. You'll see the video and you can find it, and you'll see the lighting that I have then versus now is way, way different. It just comes from trial and error. I guess that was my point. I mean, I have a lot of videos on the PrepAgent channel.
Yeah.
You know, and just the old ones are just so much worse than the new ones. So,
but a little bit about, your channel, my channel, the content, the effort, that was there. Having that self-awareness of let's continue improving in terms of the aesthetics, the audio, the lighting, the camera, the image. That's going to come if you have that self-awareness of, hey, you know what, maybe I can't afford the $5,000 camera that we're on right now.
I'm not on a $5,000 camera. You're on a $5,000 camera?
I am.
Really? Mine was $129 from Amazon, in case you don't know, Logitech. So
there it is. I mean, you illustrated the point. Look at the difference. People are not going to be able to notice the difference because depending on their internet speed and their rendering, people are not going to go from your quality, which is awesome, and my quality. The difference isn't that much. It really isn't. As far as a bank account, there's a hell of the distance is quite different from the cost, but these are tiny improvements that came with time. I didn't start with this camera. I started with the phone, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something that now, as you continue to have that self-awareness, put out that effort and continue to improve and give that video a shot and go into your point, that's how your channel starts growing. So your channel continued to evolve, the content continued to evolve, but it started with you addressing the need of those folks that wanted to pass the exam, and you were solving real problems. You were answering with real solutions, as opposed to, we were actually talking about this before we started recording, just the fluff out there, the whole just people saying things without really saying anything, right? There's the action behind it. So that's kind of what I was driving at.
Okay. What else is specific to YouTube you think people need to be aware of when starting their YouTube channel or trying to do this? For me, sorry, I asked a question. I kind of have an answer. I just want people to know they don't need to have 10,000, 100,000 followers. It could start out as just getting their name out there, their brand. They could start sending people links, just showing that you're trying to do different things. But I'll let you take it. So what else is specific to YouTube? Because we will get into good practices of social media marketing, video editing, lighting, talking about the camera, like how you got a blurry behind you and clear up front. But for now, things are specific to YouTube. What do you think?
Two key things for YouTube. One, it will help your workflow tremendously. And what I mean by that is when you make videos that are answering the questions that you get every single day, what do I do now that we're under contract? What do I need to bring to closing? What do I blah, 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 blah. You're addressing those questions. Well, you're addressing those questions every single day on the phone or via email or in person. So why not have a video that's going to help you with your workflow before that question even comes up? You're proactive and you're sending that on your weekly recap that you have with your sellers or with your buyers, right? So the video itself really magnifies your time, so you don't have to slow down and address that question in an email like, oh, well, I have to answer this question for the 100th time because it continues to come up. So if you make videos that that specifically address your workflow or help you in your workflow, you're buying back time without having to slow down and address the question over and over again. So that's one huge benefit to YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an interesting point about that with the people addressing your workflow with YouTube. When you put a video on Instagram, you put it, people see it, but it kind of goes away in the algorithm. YouTube's almost the reverse. People are commenting on my videos from years and years ago. For example, like, how come it says $19.99 for a package? I'm like, that was like 10 years ago, So it helps the community answering question and kind of stays out there. And YouTube has this algorithm, if I'm using that word correctly, where the video is good, it's going to keep getting shown more and more and more as time goes on. So it's out there, where if it's on a different medium, it gets shown and then it kind of gets pushed down and goes away. So is that, you think, one of the big differences with the YouTube? Because I'm thinking about how people interact and they'll keep seeing that question, where if you answer the question you're talking about on Instagram, you have to redo that video every few months.
Huge. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So the heavy lifting gets done up front, and that's when, like wine, as it ages, that's when it gets better. Same thing with YouTube videos. So that's something that is overlooked oftentimes because we see all the effort that goes into making the video. Yeah, it may take you 3 hours. Sure, it might take you 8 hours from beginning to end, depending on the complexity of the video. However, you're going to spend those 3 hours somewhere. You're going to spend those 8 hours somewhere. So why not invest it in a video asset that will bring you business in addition to buying you back time? So that's something that we forget. But the second thing that I wanted to share about YouTube specifically for real estate agents, what we're looking at with YouTube is you're building a personal brand. With you going on video and sharing the home buying process, the home selling process. What is earnest? What is option? What is escrow? What is probate? All these different questions, addressing real life questions that happen every single day. You're building your personal brand. You're building that authoritative voice, because not everybody is willing to get in front of a camera and share something that they share behind the phone every single day. So by you being that person, you become a resource, and you're going to find that your peers, other real estate agents, they're actually going to share your content because they don't have any of their own. So they're just going to share your content. So you have your own peers championing you without knowing. So I'll give you an example for me personally, as I speak to real estate agents from the marketing side. Just about every brokerage in the country, and I say this very humbly, every brokerage in the country just about has one of my educational videos on how to generate leads, whether that's through Craigslist, through Facebook Marketplace, through direct mail, through cold calling, whatever. They have one of my videos because it solves their issue. If I'm not saying anything revolutionary, I'm sharing information that most people have in their head, but don't think to put it on YouTube so more people can benefit. They want to keep the information so tight to them, if they will, that they end up missing it. So they don't have a documented process or resources. So they'd just rather take one of my videos and put it in their training portal and call it good.
And I don't have any stats for this, just my own personal experience. It's easier to share a YouTube video than it would be a TikTok or Instagram, because people are so accustomed to that link, and you could timestamp the link.
Yes.
So that's the other reason for sharing and using your material as an educational device is easier just with YouTube, even if the functions are there with those social media outlets, people are more accustomed to just clicking on the link, sending the link, with YouTube. So it's easier for people to share that information. And I was thinking about the previous point, how the content stays. That's basically the secret to my success. Why people still watch the stuff from years and 2 years past. I really don't have to do a video for 6 months, and my brand is going to increase because people don't realize I haven't done a video for 6 months because they're still saying the content, and the content you're referring to is, just so everybody knows, is what's known as evergreen content. And what I mean by that content is content that if you talk about it now, people could see it 6 months from now, a year from now, and still applies. So that's really good how you mentioned that.
100%. That evergreen content is so gold because the information, unless there's a huge update, unless there's something radically different, it's going to stay the same. Now, if there is something radically different, there is something completely, off the wall that changes that would render that video less than helpful. Well, you could still leave that video up, but you can include a end card that'll redirect people to the newer version and also update people in the description, update people in the comments section. So it's a good reason to actually take that video and enhance it or improve it with a more updated video. And you're going to find that YouTube, as it gets going, the algorithm that you mentioned earlier will actually push that new video immediately after they watch that old one. So it'll come under what's called suggested. So YouTube itself is promoting you, which is huge. It's huge.
One other benefit of YouTube, which I want to mention, it's more appropriate for a longer video. So if you're doing videos over 5 minutes, like we are doing right now, YouTube is way better because I could post on Instagram and that's great and I'll share it there, but it won't get the type of views that I would on YouTube. If I had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and 100,000 subscribers on Instagram, you're gonna get more on YouTube because people are accustomed to sitting down and watching it on YouTube. They're not accustomed to Instagram, even though you can watch a video and just sit there and watch it like that. On YouTube, when people go to YouTube, maybe it'll change over time, but as of right now, I think generally speaking, it's more of a platform where people will sit down, get comfortable, and almost treat it like watching TV.
100%.
Whereas the other social media outlets don't have that. So if you guys do want to show a house, talk about your service, or discuss an issue that's relevant to your local community or local area, YouTube gives you more of a chance to get away from what people hate so much, of having to get people's attention quickly by saying something shocking or something inappropriate or something dumb. You're trying to compete in the world of noise of just nonsense out there.
100%. If you look at the platforms just as they are, you don't go to YouTube to learn about the homestead exemption. I'm sorry, rephrase that. You don't go to Facebook to learn about the homestead exemption. You don't go to Instagram to learn about the homestead exemption, but you do go to YouTube to learn what the heck is the homestead exemption? Can I apply for it right now? So every single, and I say this with a very, not a case study, but an example in mind, just this past Wednesday, a homeowner here out of Westlake, Texas, emailed me asking all this, these questions about the homestead exemption on his $2.5 million property. So that's a relationship that came out of nowhere, except that video that I created on the homestead exemption 4 years ago. And now we have a relationship where I will continue dripping on that individual forever and for always until he's ready to sell that property. But it's something that I provided value to him. He had a question, so he had a follow-up, emailed me. I provided more information to him, and you better believe he's going to be part of my drip until he ends up selling.
And
now,
that wouldn't
that's
happen
a long game.
Yeah, and that wouldn't happen on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok.
Oh, 100% it wouldn't. 100% it wouldn't, because he purposely went to the search for the homestead on YouTube, which if you type in homestead exemption right now, my video is either number 1 or number 2 right now. From a video, right? From a video that, and as I say that, all the other agents are going to try to dethrone it. That's a video that I made 3-4 years ago, and it works. It's just incredible. YouTube's like no other.
Yeah. So that's a good conversation for now. I think we'll pick up another video, talk about different details. If you guys who are listening have anything you want to specifically talk about, I'm going to be talking to Jaime about a lot about YouTube marketing, more details, more about the videos. Just put in the show notes below what those questions are. And, hopefully you'll see some of those comments and you'll respond. And I'll respond and we'll do our best. And we'll try and answer those questions because I know YouTube's been great for me. You guys are watching it right now. And I think it could be great for a lot of people if they do it correctly, if they're consistent and they follow some basic principles.
100%. 100%. I'm excited, Joe. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks. Bye. Hey.